Hi, it's me, obviously. I'm back from my holidays. Went to England, went to Portugal, great fun. Um, didn't realise how much I missed cream cheese. A lot of other things as well. Pork pies. You can't get a pork pie in Colorado to save your life. And it was one of those things that I didn't really appreciate pork pies when I lived in England. It's only when you can't actually have one. Anyway, the real reason that I'm actually even making a video is because I've got to show you guys something. So I thought it was a good idea to get not one, not two. Oh, sorry, you're asleep, aren't you? Not three, but 4 barn kittens. Oh my god, look at her, she's so cute. This is Lucy. Because, well, here's the thing, they're barn kittens, but evidently they're now in my house. Because how can you not? Look, did you see them? Like, look at the state of this. How could you keep that in the barn? I mean, look at him. It's freaking adorable. So I had all these intentions of these definitely going to be barn cats. And I do have barn cats. Most of my barn cats are quite feral. But these barn cats are evidently not very feral. And I think it's because they were born in a barn and they got handled a lot when they were born. And so they're all over me. They're just obsessed with me. They're all over me. And so I can't, I couldn't just keep them in the barn. As you know, I've already got 2 house cats. I can't have 6 house cats. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma actually, because I can't have 6 house cats, but I also can't put these little precious things in the barn. I'm just hoping that by the time they're 3 months old, I don't know, they're really ugly or something, and I'm just like, all right, you have to leave. But I mean, at the moment, I actually quite like ugly cats as well, so that probably won't work. But that's what I mainly wanted to talk to you about, is that I'm not actually a crazy cat lady. And if you see me on Instagram, all you'll see is cats and horses. And I'm not a crazy cat lady. I just can't help it. If there are cute little barn cats that need a home, I'm probably going to accept them into my barn, and it's highly likely they're going to end up in the house. Oh, I do think Lucy is my favourite. Just look at that face. She looks like, what's the thing off Gremlins? The Mogwai? That's what she looks like. Anyway, so I'm not just here to talk about kittens. Someone did ask a question that I saw. It's Marie Kristen said, my question is, could you speak about how you are eating now? Has it changed over the last 4 years? The world has changed and it's become always harder to recover because of all the calorie, sugar, vegan, obsessed messages. Not just on media, but the normal people believe all this shit. No evidence, but fear-based. Hope you're doing well. How do I eat now? It's just not something I think about very often. I would say that from someone who used to have mental hunger that was all the time, and I'd say 24/7 because I didn't really sleep. I would lie awake at night with this mental hunger, but driving me crazy. So for somebody that knows what it is to experience that sort of brain and had that for a really long time, I can tell you that my food occupies probably 0.5% of my brain space, 0.05% even. I do not think about what I eat. I would say I just honestly don't give a shit. I really don't. Like, I like food, but I pretty much like all food. So, you know, my husband, because I'm busy on the farm and with my kittens, I'm far too busy to fucking cook. My husband does most of the cooking because he's bloody brilliant. He's amazing. And he'll often say to me, what do you want to eat tonight? And my answer is almost like, I just don't care. Because I just genuinely don't care. If he says pizza, he says, I'm great. If he says, I'm going to grill some chicken, great. I'm going to make burgers, great. I'm going to make steak, great. I just genuinely don't care. If he said, we're just going to eat crisps, great. I just don't care at all. I even struggle to answer that question of how I eat now, because I just don't care enough about that question. It's a bit like if you ask me, it's a bit like if the question was, what do you do with your hair each day? I would struggle to answer that question because it's just not something that I really think about or give a shit about. And so, and that's nice, isn't it? And I don't take that for granted. It's not like I don't, if someone, what I really do like is when my friends who actually do cook and can be bothered cook a really nice meal and I just have to go around and eat it. I love that. And last Sunday, a very good friend of mine she made us high tea because we're all in America and she's English as well. She made us high tea and we all went round at 5:30 and she'd made all these sandwiches and she had made scones and she made this thing called a cream slice. And it was just brilliant because it's not the kind of thing that you'd usually have, and it was delicious, and I did eat a ton and felt quite sick afterwards. But usually I just don't really have much of a preference. I will go anywhere and I will eat anything, and as long as I don't have to think about it, I'm happy because it's just so unimportant to me. I have a lot of other stuff to think about. I've got 35 horses on property, don't worry, I don't own them all. And a ridiculous number of cats now. And, I've got to think about Lucy. What does she need? What's important to her? You're so cute. I have to think about Lucy. I can't think about food. Something as boring as that when I've got Lucy to think about. Do you see what I mean? But the thing is that when I had an eating disorder, I would think about food more than I would think about Lucy. That's crazy. Look at her. She's adorable. How could anybody be bothered more about food than they are about her? But I certainly was. Thought about food more than anything else. It was the most important thing to me. And at the same time that all I could do was think about it, I was so bored about thinking about it because I sort of knew deep down I'm actually not that bothered about food. It's never something I want to have to think about or spend all my brain space at, and it bored me a lot that I had to think about it all the time. But that's what mental hunger does to you. But the miraculous thing is that when you're out of energy deficit, when you're fully recovered, that just goes away. And it's the most wonderful part, I think, one of the most wonderful parts about recovery is that mental hunger, that incessant thinking about food goes away. But not just that, so does the anxiety. Obviously, the anxiety around food goes away when you do that neural rewiring and you rewire fear of weight gain. And if your brain is no longer anxious about food, what's in that food, how many calories are in that, blah, 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 then all of those thoughts have to go away. All of those thoughts exist because your brain is anxious about food, because your brain has fear around food. And so really that is what makes the difference. It's the fear of weight gain that causes us to overthink food, to think about food. That's all a fear response. And so if we remove the fear, which is what we have to be doing if we're actually doing neural rewiring properly, we are removing that fear, then it all goes away. And that is what full recovery is. And people often talk about, oh, well, there's no such thing as full recovery, there's just remission. I'm like, no, that's just not true. It's just not true. If you're classing yourself as in remission, I don't class you as fully recovered. If those thoughts are still there, if that desire to suppress your body weight is still there, in my book, you are not fully recovered. And I wish people would stop saying that whole remission stuff and that's the best you can hope for. Because for someone like me, if someone had ever said that to me when I had an eating disorder, well, the best that you can hope for is to kind of like be in remission, I wouldn't have bothered doing recovery. Why would you bother if you can't actually get fully recovered? And so I think it does a huge disservice when people talk about remission rather than full recovery. Apart from if you're a therapist, then it doesn't do you a good disservice because it makes you, then you've got this lifelong paycheck in your client, haven't you? So it does them a solid. But for a person in recovery, what makes me mad about it is it's just not true. So that is a very long-winded answer to the question of how do I eat now? Oh, there was more to that. Has it changed over the last 4 years? Wouldn't be able to tell you. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. All right, gotta go. Bye.